Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to Monday and Monday's MCN. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe with post notifications on all. It's going to be a brand new week, so we've got lots to kind of go over, hopefully. And then at the end of the week, of course, it's new announcements. Yes, that's what we're going to be covering. Also, to clear up the elephant in the room, no, I do not know how long I'm going to be keeping this mustache. Even though it's coming up to Movember, it may be cut off. There's not really much going on in the community at the moment, so I've got one funny thing, one interesting thing to start off before going into the main meat of the story to bite into, or the, I don't know, meaty vegetables for those that are vegan at home and vegetarian. Yeah, but look, this was funny. Lacrosse Bones. Yeah, look, I'm not scraping a barrel, but I saw this. It made me laugh. I don't know if it makes anybody laugh. But Knulls, that's a great name by the way. Posted this. So Lacrosse Bones, because it's crossbones playing lacrosse. That's the thing. But what was more interesting is Kabam Jax goes, this has my full support, though that is a woman's. Yes, a woman's lacrosse stick. So it'd be called for a legal stick violation. Is that a thing in lacrosse? I don't know. Does anybody care? Maybe somebody does. A lacrosse fan out there. This is for that one lacrosse fan watcher of the channel. Next up, let's talk about Battlegrounds point farming. As a lot of you know, we've been covering this at the start. We covered it as it was a kind of an emerging trend from the back of last season going into this season, where Kabam had to, mention something about it. And look, Kabam have been on this for a long time. It's not a case of like by me making a video that they were suddenly aware. They're aware of a lot of things. They just choose very carefully when they act on stuff, which can be a bit annoying to get progression, for the players in the game moving forward. So it's always a bit of a odd topic, but I'm still hearing people doing, point farming methods in and around stuff like Gladiator Circuit, like Platinum, I think a little bit of like Vibranium as well. Like, people are doing stuff still, and whether or not Kabam are going to like follow up with it to kind of get people banned, just don't know. So I saw this and it interested me because it blends into something that's just kind of like been happening. Because you might be like, well, it's just one person, Rich. Like, this doesn't really kind of like speak for an entire community. Well, there's threads out there. If you look carefully, you can get multiple threads of people discussing the same thing. Even something from a Cavalier player's perspective, which was interesting to note. So Ivor the Boner says, so since the original post is talking about ranks, I interpreted as a victory track, but it could also mean Gladiator Circuit. In my opinion, it should be fair to try and get as high as you can in Gladiator Circuit with marks. Then when you start losing because of the big accounts, switch to energy until you're at a point where you can win again. Then switch back to marks, of course, obviously. I feel like this could be classified as point farming too. Look, then there's the other thing about point gating. There's the other thing, isn't it? Point gating. Is something that's in Gladiator Circuit. If you don't want to go any further, you just stop, and that's it. And people do that, just kind of go, well, if I don't lose, I don't lose. When I say lose the rank. Now, as I said, there is a bit of a part 2 to this, and that is all about, well, the throwing of points. Now, in this particular scenario, which is on screen right now, I don't know, wholeheartedly whether or not this is a bug or this player was throwing when it came to getting into Platinum. So Igor probably was facing off against this particular player and found that very strangely they were getting W's. And you might be saying, well, this could happen anywhere. People play bad. Yeah, exactly. People play good, people play bad. And, sometimes you don't expect to win. Sometimes you win unexpectedly. Things happen. It's Battlegrounds. The weirdest things happen. But it's very sus, isn't it? Because this is either the bug. If you don't know what the bug is, the bug that I've mentioned and covered on the channel and showed plenty of evidence for, is when you get into Battlegrounds and all you see is the red and blue screen and then the timer just going down. You don't see anything else. It doesn't go to the fight screen. It is really annoying and will probably yield a result like this. So it could be the bug. But I would say the weirdest thing about it is it's incredibly coincidental that this is in Platinum or Platinum 1. If this is happening in any other kind of stage, I'd be like, not sure about this. but it has happened, and it did happen in this particular scenario. So there must be some element of potentially points farming in some sort of degree, and that's the thing. Maybe some matchups, but then saying that again, it could be the bug, because one of the part twos to the bug is that you're not able to thoroughly know who your attacker is and defender is. It looks like you've chosen something, it then chooses something else. That's the bug. So it could be that. It could be that in this particular scenario. But as I said, it is very coincidental this is happening in a platinum stage. Now, this is a problem. And this is going to be more of a problem because I feel like with MCOC it's going to a point of a very much CCTV state. What do I mean by that? All eyes on everything all of the time, and accusations, which is the sort of subject to the Saturday video if you've seen it. But the way that people are going like, oh, well, this person cheated. Did they play well? Did they not? These questions are always asked. And the same thing when it comes to this. It gets worse because if Kabam are looking at situations and going, well, this particular player obviously threw this particular game. How do Kabam know that? Well, they threw it. Well, that means we've got to ban them. But then what if they didn't play well? And yes, it's sus to say, well, they had 100% health like on the defender. So therefore they either had a bug, forfeited? No, they can't. They would have had to forfeit earlier than that. But went 2 rounds just to kind of give up the win. But that would be a thing, isn't it? Like, I'll give you a good example. So if I was to do a point farming type thing, I would get into platinum. And I'm not going to do this, by the way, but I'm just pointing out like what could be the possibility of, a potential ban. But if you kind of like go into a fight and you're like, okay, well, I'll just, go and hit once and then just allow myself to be hit, or kind of just slap on the screen, which, by the way, I saw players and people doing in New York Comic Con 2019. So, and that's people picking up the game for the first time, which is funny. But in any case, so you did that, and they're like, okay, well, the enemy defender ended with 99% health, and then you just basically lost by not just doing anything, just slapping on the screen like that. Then would Kabam look at that situation and go, look, that person obviously threw, therefore, because they threw the fight and they're quite obviously point farming, or it looks like I'm repeating that particular method multiple times, I should be a red flag and I should be banned. Equally could say like, well, it's taken me, which is actually happening, by the way. Players are taking a lot longer nowadays to get into Vibranium. It makes it worse because Kabam are basically putting a lot of stuff in those Battlegrounds seasons to not encourage players, but forcing players to kind of get more involved with Battlegrounds, which means that it's kind of giving more frustrations for players. And I'm getting constant messages from people of the community going, look, this is just getting too much and grindy. It's getting stressful. If I'm not playing well, it's becoming quite, well, I'd say upsetting in some ways and just frustrating. And it becomes a pain point. I wonder if Kabam are going to look at this a bit more, but I don't really know if that's going to be the case. We really have to see how the season goes, with a lot more people getting involved with it, and seasons where there's nothing like, a guillotine tip. But I don't know, interested to know. I'll probably do a video about this and some polls and things. But in the comment section, how do you feel about the current state of Battlegrounds, and how do you feel about making progression? That's an interesting topic. Let's face it, at the moment, one of the biggest things is AI, and has been AI like a problem for years and years. Regardless if Kabam say it's recent, it's not. It's been a long time that AI has been a problem. A lot of people break it down. I've seen many people that will say like, well, there's a lot of kind of like timing issues with the extent of, and people like, there are people that will say, well, it's just down to user error with it. But you've got to look at the bigger picture with it, and the bigger picture is there does look like at times hitbox issues, timing issues. There's input issues. There's response time with defender issues. And if you don't think any of that is like in-game at the moment, then you haven't been properly watching this channel. We've gone through it, multiple times. If you remember back a long time ago, Super Duper Boo sent us, a video of a swipe on screen which does the tracking, and the champion didn't move. It just stood there and just went out of its block. And of course, we've had Kabam even admit to, there's been responsive issues with kind of inputs and things. That's why we have the input refactor. And of course we've got the AI being dealt with because basically, hey, AI wasn't a problem. According to Kabam. Oh, you say the player base say AI is a problem? Oh, I guess it actually kind of is. So they're doing something about it. So, you know, they wouldn't be doing about it if they didn't think there was any problem. Which there is a problem. And this may be something that will be sorted out in that particular regard. So here's the example right here. So you can see, whilst the stun debuff is still, you know, active, which, you know, could have been like a 0.01%, not percent, second, still active. Contact is made with, you know, Cat Marvel movie punching Cosmic Ghost Rider in his special area. And then Heavy follows through, but still doesn't knock Stun Defender down, which you can see there, still in the stunned animation. And then Defender recovers and throws an unblockable SP1, causing me to get hit and lose health. This is a great example of this particular look. Is it to do with an animation issue for Cosmic Ghost Rider? You know, Kabam said that they say like, oh, it's never like this issue, it's this issue. So this could be a stun animation issue and the clock not actually kind of corresponding with what's going on, as in the stun clock for the parry. This could be a responsive thing, which a lot of players are talking about nowadays. The idea that defenders are more responsive, so the AI is more responsive. What do I mean by responsive? Like, you know, quick to action things like heavy attack really quickly, like a really snappy heavy attack. You're like, how is it able to move at that speed? Quickly out of stuns, quickly out of this particular move, quickly transition. The transitions into doing a one move to the other. Hitting to block countered by special. Being parried into oblivion. Alliance Wars is riddled with that at the moment and is something that's just annoying the hell out of me. So I really hope that when Kabam launches this new AI Defender, you know, system or whatever they're doing next week or whenever the update comes in, that we see improvements, because it's just not on to see stuff like this. Point here by Shirohara says, whiffing medium and light to then eat a special to the face are like my bread and butter these days. That's a true point. That's a very true point right there. Kabam did not respond to that too. There seems to be like, again, there. Look, I want to say that, and my hope is that you've got to have hope that Kabam, you know, sort this stuff out. My hope is a lot of these things are sorted out with the improvement of the AI. Like, that is the hope, that it won't do stuff like that. Like, it won't do stuff like, you know, whiffing and getting smacked in the face by a special, like being parried and being comboed into oblivion, hitting to block counter by a special. Like, all of these particular tuning things hopefully are massively improved. But this also could be something unseen. Like, to be honest, there could be this differential between what we see and what the server sees, which is what Kabam said. One of the biggest problems that we're seeing with what they were seeing from the player base when you do reports, you and I report stuff to Kabam, is they see it differently to you. And the problem is, if we see it differently to them, how we react in real time to the particular fight is going to be poor. Like, here's an example. Dr. Zola says in, you know, response to Sir Games Bond, not the first time the question of whether what we see and what the server thinks we should be seeing are the same thing, which kind of puts it into a point where it's scary when you think about it. We had that Battleground story a moment ago. We had this story right here. Like, it's scary to think that, because it does take away from the enjoyment if you're constantly over-reading your fights of how you're necessarily reacting, and that is pretty interesting. This is a really interesting thread to give a read. I would say support it. I would urge Kabam to get involved with this, but as I said, I am trying to be as hopeful as possible that Kabam's new system next week, or whenever it is, the new update, gives the players and the player base this kind of like pre-2018 kind of better performance on movement that we want to have and we want to enjoy. So, you know, check this out, and please, Kabam, get involved, take a look, and that'll be grand. Thank you. We end the show on a Monday with results for Morbius and for Drax, which are in their respective arenas. And here we are with the results. So for Morbius, 130 mils getting you position 183, going down a little bit to 114 mil, 238. Now, this seems a little bit lower. Like, as soon as we get to like the 400s, I don't know if it's going to be substantially more lower. But I would assume that this is because people already have Morbius as part of the deal. If you got the tokens and then exchange them, then I can imagine a lot more people have Morbiuses in the game. And I think that may be the reason that the arena went so low, if I was to hypothesize. But when we go to Drax, not much information, but enough to kind of go like, okay, well, 10.5 mil got 1 to 5%, so I can imagine a 20 mil is going to get the 6-star version for those that are interested. I've been watching what we do in the shadows, so I've been talking a bit too much like Laszlo Cravensworth. Any case, predictions. Morbius 6-star, 110 mil. Morbius 5-star, 25 mil. That's what I'm predicting. Could be better than that. Could be like 80 mil, 90 mil for Morbius. It's hard to say at this point. 20 mil for Drax the 6-star. Let's go with that. And because we have 10.5 mil information, I'll go 10.5 mil for the 5-star version of Drax for those interested. That's been your results. And yes, this mustache has got to be shaved off. I might just keep it for like a couple of days. I just put glasses on and end up looking like Ned Flanders. Any case, that's been the show. Thank you very much for watching. Check out some other content which will be located on screen right now. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely week. And we'll be covering many stuff on the channel. See you soon. Bye.